In this video we're going to take a look at HTML and web browsers for IGCSE Computer Science. So websites. So we spoke about websites in the last lesson on the video, where I spoke about how we use packet switching and packets to download a website. But a website itself is one or more web files stored on a web server somewhere on the World Wide Web that is connected to the internet. Now websites can be created using the following languages. You've got HTML, PHP, JavaScript, ASP.NET, and many, many more. Most websites will have a combination of different languages, so every website will have HTML, but you can use PHP to write HTML. But a lot of time you use PHP, ASP, JavaScript for your sort of back-end behaviours, and then you've got things like SQL, so SQL used like databases and things like that. So layers. So in website development, we split it up into 3 layers, and each layer focuses on a particular aspect of a web page and a particular development language. What I mean by that is each layer uses a different language. Now this is done to make developing and future maintenance easier. So if you're thinking about being a graphic designer, for example, you'll have one person who designs all like the banners, does the artwork, the graphic designer. Then you'll have a front-end web developer that does all the HTML. Then you'll have probably a back-end person who goes and does all the databasey, back-endy behaviour stuff. And then you might even have somebody who just does the CSS, but usually the front-end developer does the CSS and the HTML, working with the graphic designer. So your content layer is HTML, so where things are on the screen, sort of where things go, sort of the main bits, bulks of writing. The presentation, so how it looks, colours, things like that, how big the images are, is CSS, and then the behaviour will be JavaScript, PHP, or any other language. You can get some websites that use things like C#, so ASP.NET allows you to make a website and the back end's all written in C#. So it completely depends on what language you prefer to do. Now the content layer provides the basic structure and content for the website, so images, text, and the order they appear in. And that is written in hypertext markup language. Now, when you're writing HTML, it's not a programming language, it's a markup language, which means it uses tags. Okay, so you see here the 2 arrows and the P, that stands for paragraph. So this is what the web browser reads, and it has sort of a set of guidelines on how it produces those on screen. So when you're writing HTML, you don't have to worry about how things look, you don't have to worry about fonts, things like that. You can just do all your content black and white, ignoring all the colours. Now, if you ignore those things, it ensures that the web page can be used by any browser, because if you're doing loads of like inline styles and doing loads of sort of fancy work in the HTML file, some browsers, I'll not mention any names, but Internet Explorer, but some browsers don't support it. So if you have all the HTML on page, you know that every browser is at least going to see all your content, and then we can worry about the styling for each browser in the next layer. So here's an example of some HTML. So you always start off your HTML documents with HTML, and you always end it with /HTML. So this means opening a tag. If you put a slash, it means closing the tag. So we've got the head, which is where you put in your title, and you can also put in things like links to your CSS style sheets, and then your body is where all your content goes. I like to think of it as the body is the stuff you see, whereas the head is the stuff in the background that you don't see, except for the title is on the tab at the top of your web browser. So the part really you see, but you don't see it on the actual page. So the presentation layer provides the look and feel of the web page and determines how the content is going to be presented. This is done in CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Now this allows you to change the colours, font sizes, and make different layouts that you can't do in HTML. You can use tables to do a layout in HTML, but it's not going to be as fluid and look as nice and modern as CSS would. So a really good example of CSS is the website CSS Zen Garden. Now, these 2 websites are exactly the same website. The HTML is exactly the same. However, these have 2 different CSS style sheets. If you go on the website, there's links down the right hand side that you have links to exactly the same website looking completely different. So it shows how you can have different layouts based on different audiences. You can have different layouts based on if someone's using Internet Explorer, or someone's using Opera, someone's using Chrome, someone's using Firefox. You can have different layouts. Mobile, on TVs, you can have separate layouts for different things. A really basic detection can have it so you have a red background if you're on Internet Explorer and a blue background if you're on Chrome. There's a little bit of a detector, but it shows how you can focus on how it looks in the CSS and the content is the same. So it's spreading that workload out. Then the behaviour layer allows us to develop an interactive website, so having buttons that go onto messages and pop-up thing on the screen, playing games, could be somewhat as daft as update something to a database or something like that. So the presentation layer is usually written in a scripting language such as JavaScript, or it could be you've got your PHP, which is sort of a back-end server language, which you can do buttons and things in PHP, and you can do in JavaScript as well. So we've got an example here of some JavaScript. So we've got a function there in some script tags, which basically says when you click it, it'll change the paragraph to say paragraph change. So instead of saying try, it says paragraph. This paragraph here says a paragraph. Click the button, and it's a paragraph changed. And this one would just write on the screen, "Hello world." And you have to use these PHP tags. Now a browser, so you've got Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Opera, Firefox, Safari. These browser jobs are to provide an interface for getting to the web pages and displaying the content of the HTML pages accurately. And this is done by interpreting the HTML documents that are passed to the browser when it's downloaded, using the HTTP protocol. So it downloads these files of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and the browser then interprets and renders a website and displays it to the user. However, the issue is not all browsers interpret the code the same way, so that's why sometimes a website will look different in Internet Explorer and different in Chrome. Now if you want to look into HTML further, you've got a video that I've made on very basic HTML, you can find it on my channel. And then I've got some links for W3 Schools, which is really good for HTML development. So if you enjoyed that, make sure you look at the next video, and I will see you in the next one.